Welcome to the Veterans Growing America podcast. I am Coach R.L. Simmons. I am here with my illustrious co-host, Donnell Johns, and we have another special guest today. We have Mr. Duke Davis. He is the founder and CEO of Inner Journey Mental Clarity. He is also an Army officer. Welcome to the show, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for that awesome introduction, and happy to be here, honored to be here. It's a privilege to be here. Looking forward to getting started and answering some questions and helping shape some understanding out here. Awesome.
Oh, that's great. I know
And
you, but I want my audience to get to know you. So can you share a little bit about your military experience and background?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you said in your introduction, yep, I'm an active duty Army officer, currently at the rank of major. I've been in the military around 16, 17 years now. Came in as an Army aviator. So, my background, my trade is Army aviation. Right after finishing ROTC at Hampton University, I got my commission and went right into the Army aviation career field as an officer. Flight school, I picked up Blackhawks. And while I was in the Blackhawk course, I picked up an opportunity to fly MI fixed wing. And I became an aerial ISR pilot, essentially. So I've flying RC-12 and all the different variants of RC-12, de Havilland Dash 7s, those variants, and spent the bulk of my Army aviation career flying those aircraft. First duty station was out in Korea, was my first actual duty station out of training. And then from Korea, transitioned over to, after finishing command, transitioned over to Fort Huachuca, Arizona, where I went to the MI Captain Career Course, deployed out to Afghanistan, flying around in that airspace there for about a year or so, back to Fort Huachuca, then over to DC, where I've been essentially headquartered out for the last half of my career. Since I've been in DC, I've served as an attaché over in the Philippines, operating out of the embassy there, working with State Department, served as an Army assistant attaché. So that was a great tour. It was great to represent the Army out there. So got a unique, different set of experiences that I bring. And so the Army has been very good to me, very good to me. I also like to shamelessly plug that I come from a military family. My father retired from the Army as a master sergeant. My grandfather retired as a sergeant major. My sister's serving. She's a major, serving at the White House right now. And my brother is also an Army aviator, went to West Point, flew Apaches, and now is a foreign area officer, about to do his first tour out in the Middle East. Being within the military and being in the Army and wearing the uniform is something that's family business at this point. Yeah, just happy to serve, man. It's done me wonders, wonders. Yeah.
that's amazing, and especially Army attaches, man. It's a pretty dope job, man. That's a pretty dope job. Let me ask you this though: how did your military experience influence your journey into entrepreneurship?
Oh man, it's intertwined every step of the way, and still is in very many ways. I've always been interested in neuroscience. I've always been interested in how to maximize and optimize the use of your brain, especially going into flight school and taking on the challenge and the academic challenges of the high-paced flight school environment. You want to figure out how to be the best student you can possibly be. You want to figure out how to fly the aircraft, do it safely so that you're not that student that's behind the controls. You are a functional crew member every step of the way, regardless of whether you're in the academic situation or not, right? Because you're flying a real world aircraft. So I've always been interested in how to optimize self, how to optimize emotions, how to optimize your ability to adapt to stress, how to optimize your ability to absorb information, retain information, and then use that information. So my journey into entrepreneurship started there because I developed a love for what my business is centered around, optimizing yourself, essentially. And then fast forward, when I deployed, I I I often serve on quick reaction force, and we go out and we pre-flight the aircraft. Sometimes it's dark 30, it's middle of the night, and you're just waiting for the call from the folks on the ground for you to fly out there and go support. And after you pre-flight the aircraft, you go sit back on the Battle Operations Center. You're just waiting for that call. Hey, we need you 30 minutes to be up in the sky, right? Once you do that, and you're sitting in the box, you're watching Cartoon Network or whatever channel you can get downrange. You're just waiting for that call, and then that call happens, and then now you're rushing. You're in a panic mode. The stress goes up, and yeah, surely you've already taken the time to pre-flight the aircraft and make sure that aircraft is safe, but have you taken the time to pre-flight yourself? And many a times I sat there thinking, man, we are just so checked out of the mindset of flying. If we were to get that call, how safe are we? And these nuggets just continued to just build up in the back of my mind to a point where I had like suddenly developed an idea of, okay, what could I present, to the aviation community? What could I present to the veteran community on how to optimize self and how to check in with self so that you're a better soldier, you're a better pilot, you're a better operator, you're a better door kicker, you're a better person. And I kind of just sat with that for a while. Long story short, I get back from Afghanistan. I'm back in Arizona, and it's a quiet place, especially single out there. I just didn't know what to do. It's just, and you're just thinking. So I did a lot of whiteboarding out. I spent a lot of days by myself whiteboarding things out. And I was just putting some ideas to paper. I was sent out to Sacramento, California to go test flight an aircraft. And I never forget, I had my flight suit on, got on that plane, had a connecting flight out of Tucson to Phoenix and then Phoenix into Sacramento. I got to Phoenix, boarded the flight, and I'm sitting in coach. And tall gentleman walks up to me, name's Dennis. And he says, "Hey, you young man, you're sitting in the front with me." And I said, "Oh no, sir, I can't do that. I'm in uniform." Back then I can't remember, there's some policies about whether you could just take free gifts and go up. I'm in uniform, so I don't know. So I'm just staying away from it. And he's, "No, young man, no, you are up in business class with me. I got a seat right next to me, and that's where you are. We're on the first row." I said, "Nah, man, I can't. I'm in uniform. We get rules." And then he yells at the plane in a very cliche Hallmark movie fashion type of way, "Who wants this young man to sit in the front of the plane with me?" And everybody goes, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh, here we go, man. I'm about to be on someone's social media." I'm embarrassed at that point. And so I get up and I go sit down next to Dennis. And that man proceeds to get to know me over a very quick flight, Phoenix to Sacramento. And I get to know him. He asks me questions about my ambitions, my dreams, my passions, my hobbies, things that I've been thinking about. And he's given me game about the things that he's done. And he's been in the information business. He wrote ebooks and did very well and sold some of those ebooks to people and replicated that effort. Dennis would proceed to take my phone number and address. He would send me books for about a year. Wherever that man traveled around the world, I didn't know Dennis from Adam and until that flight. He would send me stuff. I go home from work and I had a new book from Dennis. What a note. And that's what really then took the concept and rewired my brain and framed my brain for execution. And that's what thrusted me into this entrepreneurship game. And that's when I wrote the first book. And then the first book turned into a next book. That book turned into a book that was 300 pages. That book then turned into Inner Journey Mental Clarity. Inner Journey Mental Clarity turned into Parenting Parent Wellness. Parent Wellness turned into Neuro Journey Mental Fitness. And now we have coaching and now we have events. That's the story, man. So very intertwined. This entrepreneurial game has been very intertwined with my military career. And it's because of my military experiences that have really availed me the channel to execute my vision and meet amazing people that supported me along the way.
We all need a dentist in our life. So my dentist, I need you to call me up and hook me up too. But here's my question. When it comes to entrepreneurship, was it Dennis that inspired you to be an entrepreneur, or did you have the entrepreneurial bug altogether? Were you a kid wanting to be an entrepreneur, or where did the entrepreneurial bug start?
That's a solid question, Donnell. Yeah. So I wouldn't say it was Dennis that, inspired this entrepreneurship bug. I think Dennis saw something in me and he said, let me help this young man push himself into his own form of excellence or attempt to do so. But I've never, when I was growing up, I never thought about owning my own business. I certainly flirted with the idea. Oh, I wonder what that'd be like, but I never really put a lot of credence into it. I'm so fixated on becoming a pilot. And you ask my family members from out of the womb, I was looking at airplanes, wanting to fly. That was my first toy. It'll be my last toy. And just fixated on that. I think as I started to learn about financial readiness and financial wellness and becoming awakened to this aspect of what freedom really is. And in my mind, freedom really is in the modern day when you're in a place that you can execute your own version of creativity and give back something to the world and that's all you, and you're doing that, and that your support network is helping you do that, and you're achieving some degree of creativity freedom and financial freedom, that's freedom to me. And I began to become awakened to that idea as I matured into my military career. And that's when I started mind mapping things out. What if and all these ideas came as I studied and learned more and started listening to other podcasts and watching other motivational YouTube clips and all kinds of stuff about people doing all these things and getting a little more well-rounded into investment strategies in the stock market. And I had this epiphany. Here I am listening to this man. Why can't I be that guy on the stage? Why can't I be the person who owns that business? Why can't I have $1 million company? Why can't I do that? I absolutely can. And so there was a mindset shift of, okay, how do I go from following this person to following me a little bit? Because I've got my own ideas too. And I don't want to wake up down the line and say, man, really wish I would have started that business. I really wish I would have done that. And it's funny you asked that question, Donnell. When I was at Fort Huachuca, one of the biggest things I did as I was mind mapping things, I was planning to start up a charter airline. And I was this close. I had the mayor's approval. I had the airfield's approval. I was on my way to get FAA approval. They sent me a stack of, then it got daunting. I was like, I don't, but I had written out the routes. I knew, if I ever get the money, if I ever get the money and the time to go back and realize that dream, I'm going to go back and do that. But I had written out the route structures, how much I was going to have to pay the pilots, an aerial bus line. And I got the idea two places. One, Afghanistan. When I had to travel around to different FOBs, I had to take the Air Express, right? And you're basically on a Dash 8. You hop on the plane and they're throwing M&Ms at you and they say, hey, you'll be at Herat in 30 minutes. Take a seat, right? And I would have to go fly aircraft at different locations, Kandahar being one of them. And I would get on there. I'm like, man, what an amazing idea. Some guys got together, was like, hey, you guys want to provide air taxi services to the military throughout Afghanistan? Yes. And they got it. They contracted out a couple Dash 8s. They ran three Dash 8, the Havilland aircraft, and basically commuter airplanes that, we've all been on. And they would hop from fob to fob, up and down. Soldiers get on, soldiers get off, just like clockwork, just like a bus line. I was like, man, that's an amazing concept. And I hadn't really thought about aviation in that way in support of overseas operations like that. And so the applicability of that really took hold for me when I got back to the States. And now I'm a flight trainer out of Fort Huachuca. So I've gone from being downrange to now helping people learn how to fly the aircraft and fly the mission. And so we fly out of Arizona and we go out to John Wayne County Airport. We go out to San Diego. We go out to Las Vegas and fly the plane. I remember I landed at an airfield and it was like maybe around 6:30 p.m. It was starting to get dark. It was out in California. I think it was John Wayne. And I saw these platypus aircraft, PC-12s, we call them. And it said Surf Air on it. And I'm like, what is that? It was like a small air charter operation, aerial bus line. And so I walked in this small little private terminal and I saw this small little kiosk, Surf Air, never heard of it. And I was like, that is the aerial bus line that I saw in Afghanistan, realized here in the US, catering to a market that does a lot of traveling between Las Vegas and California. And I said, gotcha. I'm gonna go do that. So I started routing out all these things. Obviously, I didn't realize that dream. Took a lot more capital and a lot more of a team network than I had at the time, or than I have now. but that all those things really came together and started to formulate. Man, and as I got closer and closer to understanding how to build out a business and studying and making these connections, going out to the mayor, saying I had senior military officials on the base. I'll just say that were ready to invest in my Uber flight in Arizona. And I was like, man, I might be really onto something here. I decided to stay in the military and go off and do other things. But I took that energy and then I just took it and put it into what I'm doing now. So I took that same amount of energy and said, man, if I can get chess pieces moving in the 3 months that I've expanded this idea and sitting down with the mayor, sitting down with brownie companies to provide brownies to flights, like then I can take this and compress it into something else and make it grow. And because I'm in the military still and going to be moving around, well, what type of business should I do? I should do something that's online centric so that I can manage it and run it from anywhere in the world. And so that's how ultimately I've settled on the business that I have now, a combination of being involved in aviation, neuroscience, and then developing the energy around entrepreneurship in a very unique and real way. And then realizing, okay, what's the realistic footprint to do this as I'm still traveling around the world in uniform? And so I settled on a very impactful online business operation. Yeah. I know that's a long answer to your question, but it's a podcast. I'm giving it to you.
I love it. That kind of transitions right into my next question. Give us your unique proposition, man. Let's hear about inner journey, mental clarity, and then other products and services that you offer. Let's take a little deep dive. So, what is like the unique proposition of your business?
I'll answer that by asking you a question, turning the tables.
I like that.
Yeah. Let me ask you both, right? Do you feel in control?
Not all the time.
Yeah. That's a real answer.
Yeah.
Donnell, do you feel in control?
I do my best to keep control of what I have control of, which is me.
And I don't always feel in control. And I think that is just about everybody. And if the Buddhist monk tells you they're always in control, they're lying to you too. That's the whole point of becoming a Buddhist monk, so that you continuously work on your control. And I ask that question is because most of us are not. And most of us don't have the insight to ourselves to say, I'm not always in control. And that's the first step to becoming in control and to master and control yourself. A lot of us are blinded within our own worldview, or blinded on what really being in control is. And we say yes, but we're really not. It's no different than, why is my favorite color blue? Maybe when I was a kid or when I was a baby, my parents put a lot of blue around me, and typical boy things around me. And so like I gravitated to trucks, planes, and automobiles, right? And now I love the color blue. Some of us can't say, like, why do I like that color? You don't know. You are primed to like certain things. And we are primed to be primed. And we get up in the morning, case in point, we get up in the morning, we open our phones, and as we scroll and as we look at the news, we have ceded control to all of these other inputs around us that are dictating how we feel and how we think, which ultimately dictates how we execute and how we act within our environment.
So true.
We don't really see it. You think you're Donnell. You don't really see it, but that's exactly what's happening to you. And if we stopped for a second and said, man, what in my environment is really influencing my behavior, good, bad, or indifferent? Because once now you can say, okay, this is doing me good, so let me do this. And this is doing me bad, let me stay away from that. And on a Monday, I shouldn't do this, but it's fine on Friday. The problem is we just don't really want to acknowledge that we're not. But there's a growing population of folks around the world that are realizing that they are ceding control to everyone and everything else in the day. Okay, so now let's talk why I developed this product. What's the value proposition? Everything my company does, everything my products do, are wrapped in giving you back control. Everything. If it doesn't give you back control in some way, form, or fashion, it is a no-go in this company. It must give you back a little of that control. It must give you those resources, or some form of resource to get for you to use to give you back a little of that control, so that you can find daily a place to be your authentic self, and at least control a little more on how you go about the world and your environment for the better. Now, how do I do that? I do that with neuroscience. I do that with this continuous process of rewiring the brain through long-term potentiation, essentially better habits, better you, just very bluntly put, and in positive psychology. Because you have to wrap this in positivity. And we're not talking just cliche, hey, be positive, be happy. There's a whole science aspect to this. so that you can feel more in sync and more confident in yourself when you go about the world while you're executing and grabbing and taking hold of that control for yourself again. That's what this company's about. I'm not selling you an app. I'm not selling you coaching, 30-minute sessions. I'm not selling you events. I'm selling you control for yourself wrapped in positive psychology. That's what the value is that this company brings to the world.
Wow.
That's solid.
Yeah, that is. I'm like, I love that. So, challenges.
Hmm.
What challenges did you face in bringing your business to life? From the military to the business world, what challenges did you face building this business or
Yeah,
facing?
yeah. You guys know, Mr. Simmons, Donnell, like you guys know all those challenges of trying to put together something unique and special. And my challenges are no different. In my space development, because this is how we went from book to taking that book and turning it into an application, right? So I'll talk to that, to how we built the flagship product. The biggest challenges I faced is communicating to coders. It has been so difficult. And I've now learned the language of coder speak because I had to take what was swirling around my brain of an idea. And of course, this is a brick by brick process, right? I'm a self-funded bootstrapping operation. So I couldn't go from, okay, hey, look, I got $1 million. We can trial and error this into $1 million product. I had to be very meticulous, very succinct, and very detailed oriented about what I wanted. And I had to learn how to do that the hard way because I would say, oh, I got this amazing version of an app. I got this vision. Here's what I want you guys to go build. And they'd be like, got it. And they come back and I'm like, I have no idea what this is. What did you do? And I would just be fuming and frustrated. Oh, the stress and then I'm like, okay, well, maybe that was just a wash and this company's bad. And I would leave them and go to another company. Same issue. And I'm like, still not me, it's you. So I leave them and go to another company. Okay, it was me. I was not able to communicate my vision to the audience that needed to build this vision for me. And, I went through several development teams before I found a company that actually understood, not actually understood. I got it right on how to communicate. So still there's a challenge in realizing, man, you don't know how to speak and deliver the message to the coders because they're looking for a certain type of language from you that I had to learn and mature into in this business realm, right? And so that was a big challenge. And that challenge had its own branches and sequels. It's because one coder just like straight up, and I'm bootstrapping straight up, took a couple $1,000s from me, never heard from him again. One coder overpromised that they were going to do this and they're going to do that. Took money, never heard from him again. I hired a coder during COVID. Didn't hear from him for months, and he claimed I got sick and the lights came out. You think he sent me my money back? Nope. So I burned a little bit of capital, but at that point, to my blood, sweat, and tears, man, I was invested. So I was like, look, I had told myself 100 times I was going to make this happen. I got to still make it happen. So I just kept pushing. So there's a grit. When you talk about challenges, there's a grit that I had to just strap onto and just fight through these problem sets with. And when you're putting together an operation and you're self-funded, it can be trying. It's challenging. You want to live your life and you want to travel around the world and you want to fly business class if you can and you want to eat the finest steak. You don't want to eat hamburger helper when you go out to Paris. But I put the vision of what I was trying to build ahead of those things and said, if I'm going to live like no one else tomorrow, I have to live like no one else today. So I had to just really ride in and bootstrap into that. And that's a challenge. That's an ongoing challenge because I'm still building this. I'm still pushing this out to the world. So I still have to sit back and say, you know what? You can go buy that. There's a beautiful watch, flight watch I'm looking at, guys. I've been eyeing that thing for a year now. And I look at it and my Instagram is making me look at it. And I'm like, nah, buddy, you got to run ads this month. And so the grit, it gets you through, but it is challenging because you're human and you want to enjoy life a little bit. The vision is far more important and greater than some of these other one-offs that really aren't going to do anything for your life down the road. And that's the constant reminder that as an entrepreneur, you have to give yourself, I think.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So let me ask you this. This is I think my questions are transitioning really well into this. I'm patting myself on the back for this one. What are some of the key lessons that you learned in the military that you apply into your business?
I like to say that is my unique skill to sit down and take all the important details and put them into a succinct plan and then give that out to folks. But be remiss if I didn't just tip my hat off to the military for instilling that in me, because it certainly did. And I would say the ability to take all of the details with all the stress and then say, you know what, let me put this into an actionable format. And I always like to, I always say this in command, and I still say to this day, say to myself, even with this business, if I go down, I fall out, can someone take this manual for how we do business and execute to optimal success without fail? And have I put all of my brain power and thought process and planning requirements into an executable format with efficiency? And the military absolutely helped me to craft that skill. Craft that I wouldn't have it as rehearsed if it weren't for the military. Because we all know military keeps you thinking, there's always some type of task that's coming down that you have to write a plan to and then brief that plan. And like without that strength, I wouldn't be the person I am today. And the business certainly wouldn't be where it is. It's absolutely that.
So we're going to get into my favorite part is talking about VGA. Can you share with the audience why you became a member and your experience with VGA?
Yeah, one, I'm honored to be a member of Veterans Growing America. It's an amazing platform that is really helping veterans shape their minds and their hearts around community, veteran community, and transition into entrepreneurship to express their creativity. And I remember when I walked into your store for the very first time, I just happened to be in Stonebridge and I saw the store. Like, I'm a veteran, so anytime I see Veterans Growing America, I'm like, oh, interesting, what is that? So I walk in the store, shake hands with you, and then we jazz and have a conversation. And I understood your vision immediately. Immediately. And it was just a couple of days later, I think that weekend, that I was a member of VGA. So to be a part of a community like what you've built for veterans, there's nothing like it. And the way that you do it, I often say you are a community building mastermind, and that's what VGA is. When I talk about VGA to people, I don't just stick to the entrepreneurship angle that VGA helps you cultivate. I mostly talk about the community. Because if you get people and you wrap them into the VGA community, they're going to want to be a part of the buzz of what's going on at VGA. And that's helping people grow in their own creativity. When I think of VGA, I think it is a creativity hub for people to help each other and grow their own expression so that they can find their own version of freedom that we talked about earlier. That's what I think of when I think of VGA. And my experience has been exactly that. VGA has helped me to tap into a group of veterans and civilians that are part of that VGA buzz to help me learn more, understand more about entrepreneurship, and really understand more about community building and how to apply that to my business. I look up to Donnell and what he's done with VGA from a community perspective. And if I'm being completely honest, that's the tipping point for why Inner Journey Mental Clarity got into events. Donnell, when I met you, I was just an app, right? We had 3 apps. And now, fast forward, 6 months later or so, maybe 7 months or so now, now we've got apps, we've got events to build community, and we've got online coaching. And that is a product of my experience with VGA, frankly. Watching you do that with the line dancing, watching you do that with your community mixers, and the angle of your business has helped me mature an aspect of my business. So not only am I enjoying the veteran community that is VGA, and enjoying the entrepreneurship aspect of maturing your business that is VGA, I'm also watching what happens in VGA and have applied that to my own business in its own unique way. So that's been my experience. And so I'm very appreciative to be a part of the community.
You gave me some nuggets in which was in your in the podcast today. And the one thing that I took away is what if, right? You put on a
Yeah.
whiteboard,
Yeah.
what if this is possible? And I'm gonna pose that question to a lot of people now based off of this podcast is what if? because that's what entrepreneurship is all about. What if your idea makes it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we talked about an aspect of your business at your Airbus. What if,
Yeah. Right.
you
Yeah.
know, what if we sat next to a dentist?
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna pose that to everybody out there that's listening to this. What if you believed in yourself enough to go after your dreams?
Yeah. That was a turning point for me. And sitting down, like, man, what if I actually did this? And if I did this, what would my life look like? Who could I be and who could I be for others? You know, it's just two words to like frame how you think about your future in real time. Can my life is like whether this company becomes $1 million company or not, I'm not the same man. I'm not the same person. And I know it's for the better because you know what? If God doesn't have it that I do it right now and take this into the sunset over the next couple of years, well, then my family will. They'll do it. And you're planting seeds in your own family, you're planting seeds and people that are looking up to you that might inspire the next big thing. And that's that chain reaction that we don't always see, but we have to think about too. You know, when I go out there and I talk mental health and I talk mental fitness for better mental health and positive psychology, when I see other folks in the audience that are aviators, that are black and brown, that are veterans, I'm also doing it for them. The business becomes bigger than self. 'Cause I, just like you, Donnell, you set a chain reaction in me to open up community events. And when I go out and talk to folks, and whoever might be listening to this podcast might set a chain reaction in them to go do something great that we all benefit from. So I'm not, surely I would love to see this become a $1 million, multi-million-dollar company. But if it doesn't, I'm okay too, because I know I'm a better man for this. I'm a changed person for this. And I'm honored to be in a business that is helping others thrive.
Amen.
Yeah. So what if I don't make that $1 million selling? But what if I help someone else do it too? What if? And I get to see that and be proud of that and be humbled to be a part of that. So you got to frame the gratitude all around. Because if you chase the dollar, if you just chase the dollar, then you're going to fail. You got to chase a grander vision, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, that is a big buzzword in the community, especially even the way I map out some of my strategies. I always start with why. Like, why are you doing this? And again, what if you accomplish what you think you're gonna accomplish? So those are big words to people's visions, man. Not the dollar, but the journey. The journey.
Journey. Yeah. That's right,
So
man.
we're going to close out the show, and I want to just get some last words from you that you can share with our audience before we get out of here.
Mm. Last words for the audience. Hey, look, bigger than going out and downloading Inner Journey Mental Clarity or Parental Parent Wellness or coming to an event, let's talk why I do this. Whatever it is for you, whatever that looks like, I am pleading to you in 2025 to do whatever you can to take back a little bit of that control and more. Just start with taking back some control. How do you do that? Before you rush and start your day, because we all know as soon as you walk out of that door, the world's in control at that point. You get in the car and have a fender bender and your whole day is derailed, right? Before you leave the house and do it within the first 30 minutes of you getting up, just pause for a second. Just pause for a second. Get your pray on. If that's what you do first thing in the morning, do that. Got to do that. But just pause for a second. Sit in a little bit of stillness and don't cede any of that control to the TV, to what on the news, to the weather outside, to your money problems, to your family problems. Just pause and breathe and focus on that breath for a little bit. You could do a box breathing, you could do a 4-7-8, but I just want you to pause and just breathe for a second and realize you are alive and you have purpose and just think, okay, how am I going to maintain more of my control today? What is taking that control away from me? Do I want that? Is that okay with me? And then act upon that. And if you're doing that, you are inner journey mental clarity. You are inner journey mental clarity. You are Serenity Parent Wellness. You are neuro journey mental fitness. You are finding a space within yourself to seize that control that is persistently taken from us. All I want to do is give people control. If you want some help with that, the company is ready to help you out with that. That's everything we're about. You can come find us at innerjourneyapp.com. You can email us at hello@innerjourneyapp.com. You'll get an email from me in return. Before you do all that, just stop, pause, and breathe and take some control. That's all I got.
Love it, dude. Definitely appreciate having you on the show. Let me ask Donnell before we get out of here, how can people continue to support Veterans Grow in America?
All right. Before I get into that, I need y'all to do two things. One, comment and subscribe to our podcast. Make sure you listen to this, you share this. This can change somebody's life. Now, how do you become a part of VGA? Number one, I need y'all to go to your social media app, go to your favorite one, and then I need y'all to find Veterans Growing America. I need you to follow and support our veteran and military spouse entrepreneurs. If you're in the DMV or you're on your way to the DMV, visit us in Woodbridge as at our store in the Stonebridge Shopping Center, Veterans Growing America. Also, we have one in Clarksburg where you can shop our veteran and military spouse entrepreneurs, or go to our website and go to /events and be a part of the community building events that we do at Veterans Growing America, where you can find almost something amazing at every stop that we do. And then while you're at the store, I need you to do one thing. I need you to shop, baby.
Love it. I love it. So,
There's a
dude,
piece of artwork I got my eye on, Donnell. So, yeah. And the
dude,
shop and the stores. So, yeah. Anyway.
all good. Hey, definitely appreciate you coming on, man. Definitely appreciate you dropping all of the nuggets, man. Hopefully we can have you back soon. Now we'll definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, I would love to. Thanks for the opportunity, and I hope it's helpful to you guys, and I hope those that are ultimately going to listen to this, I hope you're touched in some way to go out and express your own version of creativity and find your own version of freedom. Thank you again for the opportunity. Thanks for Veterans Growing America. It's really helped shaped my life, shaped my business, like I mentioned, and as you guys like to say.
Let's grow.
We are over and out.